All right, how's it going, everyone? Welcome to the third episode of the refactoring series of the implementing clean architecture patterns. And by the way, maybe you've noticed it, but I've changed the name just to be more correct, right? We're not necessarily implementing the clean architecture by the book. We started off from the reading the clean architecture. Then we took some of the concepts and some of the stuff from the clean architecture book, and actually started implementing something that looks like the layered architecture. But nevertheless, the point was to implement an architecture that's going to allow us to make our app testable, independent of the UI, independent of the database. Just you know have a good discipline. So when we grow our apps with, I don't know, users and features, we actually do that in without introducing too much overhead on every new issue. Uh, Veli says, I have not watched the second episode yet. Would I get confused by this one? I'm gonna try to summarize what we did last stream, just in case there are more people that haven't watched the second stream yet. But okay, well, let's actually do that. So in the previous stream, we basically created the output schema. We talked about setting up services, talked about the service locator, and we had an issue with the service locator, and I actually fixed it. So we're gonna continue on with the service locator fixed. So I'm gonna demo that at the very beginning. And yeah, we talked about error handling and how to handle errors. We created a bunch of, I mean, not a bunch of it, like we created just a few custom errors. We talked about that. And yeah, and for today's stream, I also got rid of the DTO classes from the previous stream. So we're gonna talk about why I decided that it's not necessary to have like DTO classes. I have figured out the type matching issue with the service locator, and I'm going to demo that now. And if we have time, we're going to test the Vercel cache across server actions. And also, we can start looking into unit testing with, I believe we should be using V-tests. Because, yeah, State of JS said that it's most lovable. So we're going to be using V-tests to write our tests. Does the clean architecture add too much overhead boilerplate on more complicated projects? I wouldn't say so. If you're going the cowboy way, just like throwing code at your code base when you develop new features, I think that would cause more issues than going an extra mile to actually implement clean architecture or layered architecture or any architecture. Basically, we're talking about implementing a specific discipline, right? There are different architectures out there that require more more boilerplate code or more repetition, uh, but I guess it would still be worth it than writing writing database queries directly in your server actions, right? Yeah, so let's actually jump in. Let me just check something real quick. Yeah. Okay, so here's the code base. First, I mentioned that I got rid of the DTOs. So what I was thinking about is DTOs, they're like a concept that came from different languages, like Java and C# and those languages. And it's perfectly fine having those in those. I mean, you must have them in those languages, right? But we're in TypeScript, and the point of DTOs was that when we, for example, when we query from the database, we usually get we usually get the whole object, including the ID, including created at, dates and stuff. If that's not needed for your use case, then you don't want to return those fields, right? And there can also be like sensitive fields. Like if you query the user, you would also get the hashed passwords. You don't want to do that, right? You don't want to return the hashed passwords back to the client. You just don't, right? So that's one point, one reason why we had DTOs. The other reason was that when we're using like different libraries for interacting with the database, we're going to get different types, return types for those entities and models. And if we want to use, not if, but we will definitely use the results. For example, in different parts of the app, we would still have to import the type from the database library inside of the action, inside of the page, inside of the service, just everywhere. So we would still sprinkle around database related code for the specific database library across the whole app. And again, we don't want to do that because the app, it just shouldn't be aware of what database is being used, right? That is the case. So DTOs were created for that specific reason. DTOs are an ordinary class that implements and defines properties from the model, but it doesn't actually depend on a specific database library. It just like mirrors those fields, and it also implements specific logic like from the DB type to the DTO, like data transformation methods, etc., or maybe even some validation methods. I know that DTOs can also validate input is valid, right? Something like that. They can contain that logic, but in our case, if we don't want to do that, I would put that logic in the service and have everything go through the services, right? In that case, if we don't do that, then we don't actually need to have classes. What we do want to have, and is enough because we are in TypeScript, we're not in Java or C#, is just a type. Let's just have a type and force every service to return. I mean, I'm not forcing it in this case, but force every service to return an instance of that type, right? So instead of creating a new class, we would just return this. To be honest, I don't know if that is any better or not. Maybe having like, because this is still not going to work. We do need to recreate the whole object again in order not to leak sensitive information, because and this is a collection, but if this was a user and we say const new user equals the user select, and I'm going to talk about the select part in a few minutes, but if we set this equals to data and we return the new user is not just going to have these fields, right? Even though this is the type, and for example, we see that the collection select does not include an ID, that doesn't mean that the new collection won't have an ID. What we're seeing here, what we're seeing here is what TypeScript is aware of, right? So it's gonna be the same if I do any. There's not gonna be any difference, right? There's still gonna be data in the new collection. And if I do this, it doesn't mean that new collection does not contain any values or properties. It's just that TypeScript is not aware of any. So this is not enforcing, or this is not preventing us from leaking sensitive information. This is thus lying to ourselves because it's TypeScript. And only we care about the TypeScript part, the developers, right? The users don't care about the TypeScript part because they don't interact with it. They interact with the data that they get from the server, and that data is going to include all of the other properties that we currently don't see here in the screen. So that's why it's important to, either recreate or maybe bring back the notion of DTOs and like have DTOs, especially in this layer, because right now we're in the repository, right? We are in the collections repository. This is where we use the database client to, fetch and, manipulate and mutate the data. And it's important that every method from this repository and from every repository, it's very important to return, not what the database returned, but what we define that's going to be the return. So that's why I kind of said we don't need DTOs, just so we don't, introduce a new, concept. But it's either going to be DTOs or it's going to be something, like this. Just recreate title. Oops. Title is data.title, right? Just do this basically. Description, data, description. Go for every data.fingerprint. Just like go from for every property. Do these things, and I know it's going to be, it's going to feel like repetition, but it's important. Created at. Created at. There we go. It's important to do this. It's important to do this inside of the repositories. You can't just, cast it or something like that. You have to do it. So if this becomes repetitive, right? We're returning the collection select, and it is going to be. Actually, I am changing my mind about DTOs right now on the stream. I think it makes sense for us to, bring back the DTOs. But check this out. This is one thing, right? I'm returning the collection select again. I'm returning the collection select again. I'm returning the collection select again. So I'm gonna have to type in property by property, right? Yeah, let's just bring back the DTOs. Yeah, I converted them into types, but I believe, we should definitely keep the DTOs, because this is not gonna be, it just doesn't scale, right? So we had a DTO. Let me actually open GitHub. I'm gonna open the project. And many of you asked about the repository. This is a private one. I'm gonna create a new project, a demo project that doesn't include anything that has, my app has right here, but it's just going to include the architectural stuff. So it's cleaner, pun intended. But let's check this out. If we go to the clean architecture branch, go to shared DTOs. We had the class. All of these were private. I guess all of these were private, and we did that because we didn't want. We want to set this once, but once we get the DTO, these should be read only. And one way that I figured out we can do this is set these as private, but only export the get methods as public, and also implement a static from DB method that did this thing that we just did with the type. But in contrast with the type, we will just do collection DTO dot from DB. Will pass in the collection from the database, and we're not going to be doing all of this every time we want to prevent information from getting leaked. Yeah, okay, so there's plenty of comments. Let me see. Does a clean? We went through that. Thanks for the summary. I'm excited to see why you had gotten rid of DTOs. Yeah, we're not getting rid of DTOs. I just changed my mind, actually. I explained it to myself that actually we need DTOs. Oh yeah, it is a PRS. It's a really good guitar. Thanks. One thing that I didn't understand of clean architecture is how we manage the interactions between models and databases. Did we already have videos on that in the channel? I'm new here. How we interact with the models? Yeah, repositories are actually that. Actually, I had a that was in the first episode where we talked about the architecture. And we're gonna bring back DTOs here. So this is the layer, and this is basically how the operation flow is going to get from left to right. We're going to do commands, right? Not necessarily like a concept of command, but just like we're going to be executing stuff from here, starting from the presentation layer to the persistence layer. And then the persistence layer is going to return data. That's how the flow is going to be, right? The presentation layer includes server actions, pages, API, handlers, routes, all of these things that, ask for stuff in our application. So everything starts from here, but it has to go through the business layer and then to the persistence layer so that data can be returned back to the presentation layer and then, back to the client. Let's see. Client, no, a computer. Yeah, let's just do a little laptop right here. And let's just say this is the client, who, the thing that actually requests and interacts with our website. So this is how everything is going to, the operation flow is going to look like. Yeah. Could you use Zod to generate the DTOs? I guess yeah. But we would still need to do the, property colon value. Are you going to build it from scratch, the demo project, like workshop style, or pre-build it and just go over it? I would, whatever you prefer. what if I pre-built it and just go over it? Because I was thinking I would just pre-build the whole, build the whole project and basically explain the stuff in the video, but not necessarily type it out, so the video is shorter and, it's easier to digest, because we are figuring out and typing stuff now. But if you're watching a YouTube video, like a proper tutorial, you don't want to, I'm going to say waste time on those types of activities there. Do you still need underscore something if you have TypeScript? I guess not. I don't know. Let's see. Like, if this is private, and if I can rename it to just DB, it's still gonna be okay, right? It's just like in this case, it's not a big deal. But if, for example, this repository or service, for that matter, contained multiple, like multiple properties, then if you did this dot and all of them were here, you'll see, okay, this is a private one, and I know that for a fact because it starts with an underscore, but these are public ones, just that's what I'm saying. Like, if it starts with an underscore, it's just like a little tiny notation for us to know that this is a private property. I thought it was more when you only had JavaScript and there was no private or public modifier. Yeah, I mean, we have private modifiers here. Yeah, just underscore. Thanks for the explanation. Yeah, of course. So that's what I think we should do first. Let's go back to the repo and bring back this thing. Okay, so I'm gonna go. Actually, this is instead of types. I'm gonna bring back the DTOs here and go to the collection. Was it here? It was not here. Actually, it was here, right? From utils types. Yeah, it was here. So I'm just gonna remove these and like re-implement parts of these things. Yeah. Okay, so here's the old DTO. I believe we also have one for the users. Yeah, pretty much. We didn't actually implement this, so I'm not gonna do anything about it for now. So what we want to do is go to the repository now. Save that. There we go. And now these types are just going to they're all going to be collection DTO. And actually, see, the types are actually okay. I'm actually going to keep the types. Yeah, one thing that I didn't talk about is this, and we're gonna move that part to the types, but these parts right here. Yeah, insert, select, update. You see that? So these are basically where I got them from is from Prisma. So when you use Prisma in your app and you define your models, Prisma is automatically going to generate these types of types for you. So you'll define a collection method, and it's going to define individual types for collection inserts. So when you want to insert data into the collections table, you need this set of properties. There's going to be a select as well, and also an update, right? So when you want to update, you need this type of data to update. When you want to just select stuff from the database, you only get this back, right? So I kind of like that concept of the specific types. And let's see if, because the DTO is, we're going to treat the DTO as like a, as like a select. Yeah, we're going to treat the DTO as a select, but we still need to, enforce a specific type for insert and update, because that is this line right here. That's this line right here. This is commands and also inputs, right? For example, if we want to modify a model, we're gonna have an input, and the DTO is just here between these two, basically. This is where DTOs live. Yeah, we are not jumping from the presentation layer to the persistence layer. We pass input, specific input. Let's actually write this out properly. There we go. We do the input here, and then the services will convert the input and get a DTO back, and then get a DTO back. Yeah, it doesn't look like this, but you get the gist. That's where DTOs are defined, and that's where DTOs are being used, between the persistence layer and the business layer, right? But these are for the inputs. These are from the other way. So I would still keep these, but I would keep these outside of the DTOs in like types or something like that. See, we have the database types right here. I would just move these. I'll just move these out, including the first line. Yeah, we can go here. We can put them for now like this, right? Hey FTA, how's it going? Yeah, we're bringing back the DTOs. I changed my mind about DTOs, but off the camera during the weekend, but actually changed my mind again like 10 minutes ago. So we're bringing back the DTOs now. Gotta say, I really like this kind of video. I think you're the first one I've seen that is diving into this stuff. Well, it's important, right? If I don't take the time now, I'm not gonna take the time. So this is just me having fun and you folks having fun alongside. So yeah, and I'm glad you like it though. Yeah. Yeah. Sami, your DTOs could be cleaned up if we used private parameters. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we're gonna do that. Let me just fix this. There we go. We don't need this one as well. So I kind of like this. So here's the collection, but like this is the overall collection that uses the types from the database. And then we export, let me just get this mouse away. Then we export specific, second, we export specific parts or, you know, like cuts from the overall collection type. For example, for the insert, we are only going to pick out the title and description. We don't need anything else. For the updates, we're going to pick out these things. So if you noticed, there are no created by and created at. We will do that, you know, with code, but not, we're not going to require that. Exactly, yeah. It's just a cherry pick of the properties that you want to return from the persistence layer. So here's how that's going to look like. See, we actually need the collection type now. Okay, let's go back to types. Export this one. Let's go back to the repository. No, actually to the DTO and import it now from the types. This is the one. Yeah. Yeah, so here's the DTO. And we can actually do this. If I copy these and pasted them here, private, and then just do like these probably. And if I remove this, and if I remove this, right? Is that what we're saying? Well, in this case, it's an object. So it has to be like this, right? And we don't need these. And we can create that through the constructor, and we don't need an object, right? But check this out. Now we don't actually need this. We just need the order. You know, we just need the order: created at, created by, description, fingerprint, published, and title. That's all we need. I guess we can, you know, keep it like this. I'm just going to do some changes. Title. I'm going to start with fingerprint, title, description, published, created by, and created at by importance. Okay, so fingerprint, title, description, published, created at, created by. I'm just going to flip these and remove these. And also select these and do delete words. Right, there we go. Fingerprint, title, description, published, created by, created at. There we go. So now when we receive something from the collection, we'll just pass it, you know, in, and this from DB will create that collection DTO for us. So we don't even need to use the constructor, and we don't need to, you know, redefine all of those private properties at the top. Yeah, thanks, Sami. Nice, we'll apply this to my project now. Yeah. Okay, yeah. This is looking good. I like this. So let's go and clean it up now. So we'll start with the repositories. We have the DTO, and what is that? There's no exported. Oh yeah, it's. So I need to move these now from a. They come from a different place now, from utilities types. And the DTO, we're gonna use that in just a moment. There we go. So instead of doing this, we're gonna do this. Equals collection DTO from DB. And we'll pass in, I believe, data. Yeah, data. There we go. So we're importing the collection DTO from DTO's collection, and we're just using the from DB. And now it's a lot cleaner. Yeah, that's why I mentioned we actually need the DTOs. There we go. And I'm gonna copy this one because I'm going to keep using it. Bring that in, and this is going to be a collection DTO. It's not gonna be a thing, and then again, of course. Haha, nice. I could never get used to the registries in NeoVim. For example, if I copied this line and if I delete this data, I still think that I copied the line, but if I hit paste, it's just gonna be data because deletion also puts the value in the same register. And I know there's like a trick, but I'm never gonna get used to that. From DB data. There we go. So this returns a collection DTO. What else? We don't need this type now because we're gonna have our interface for those rules. And there we go. So we need to, I'm just gonna do this. The insert is pair. The select is collection DTO. This and this collection DTO, and then we just need the update. And the interface is solid. The implementation is solid. So we're using DTOs now. I'm gonna get rid of the to-dos because we already did that. So we are in the clear. And now let's go to the service. There we go. Same thing here, but we're not gonna be, yeah. The insert is going to stay, but the select is gonna get turned into a DTO. There we go. So I'm gonna do like, I'm gonna select all of the occurrences for the select, change them as DTOs. Bring in the update and what else? And that's it. Okay, yeah. Our collection service is not super big right now. We're still a long way from, actually refactoring it, but yeah. Let me actually do this. Select all. There we go. DTO. There we go. Okay, are we clear? Let's see, input. There's the type now. So for example, this is ZOD. This is it, update collection input schema. This is ZOD. And I believe we can get ZOD to generate these types for us. But it's not always gonna be one-to-one, because for example, these types are for the input schema for the server action. And for example, when we create, let me see if there are gonna be any differences. These are basically what we want to receive from the client, but not necessarily what we want to send to the repository. The repository needs everything. Some of those properties we're going to like regenerate them in the service layer, right? So that's why it's okay, it's fine, I guess, but I believe we need to, we need to maintain two separate types of inputs. One is the like persistence layer input, one is the actual server action inputs, And in this case, this schema right here basically lives in the presentation layer, because this is only for it's only for the server actions, right? So it's not something that is like generic JavaScript. It's like tied to the actions, and even if you have a route handler or like a page, you're not going to be using this over there. So this is just like server actions. It's fine if we have, you know, separate schemas. We just need to see why, and I think I know why. Let's see. Published is missing, but it's required in the collection update. So collection service receives collection update, and the collection update also includes the published. And that makes sense. I mean, we can go into the service now. This is the input schema, and the input schema does not define the published. Let me see. Should we define the published? Because I feel like we're already sending the published, right? We are basically updating the collection. Here's like all of the data. Okay, let's see. App collections, fingerprint, update collection. So here's the front end. This is on the client. Yeah, we are pushing the published along. So our schema should also include the published. Z dot Boolean. I think it was something like that. Yeah. Yeah, I removed it. I don't know why, but we need to keep it there. Cool. So back to the service. The update looks okay, right? We're using the authenticated procedure, which only makes sure that you're the user that's requesting this action is logged in. Otherwise, it's going to redirect back to sign in. Which VS Code font theme are you using? This is not VS Code. This is NeoVim. The font is Dank Mono. Dank Mono. Where is it? Yeah, it's like a paid font. It's not like this is the one. It's not like super expensive, you know. But I also realize it's dumb to pay for fonts, but you know, just supporting the creator. Yeah, so this is Dank Mono, and the theme is like it's a whole thing. If you're interested, I can send you github.com/nikolaflazar/.files. These are my dot files. If you want to like pick them apart. Okay, so the authenticated procedure. We used to have a base procedure. We don't. Actually, we do. Actually, we don't. It's just for, you know, it's just for consistency. So the base procedure is being used, for example, in the sign in, reset, forgot might, yeah. All of these is where we don't expect users to be logged in. If the user wants to log in, that means they're not logged in. So we're using the base procedure here. If we were not using the base procedure, we need to, you know, use ZSA directly. Yesterday I got the recommendation about your channel and I literally watched the whole 250-hour stream. That's awesome. Thank you. Thanks for watching that. I know it can be like somewhat, you know, this real quick. Yeah, 3 hours is a lot. But yeah. So we need to go back zsa.vercel. Yeah, I'm gonna remove that. We don't actually need create server action. That's all we need from ZSA. And if we go back into the auth actions, we are going to delete this. And we are going to create server action. To remove this, remove this and remove the dot. That's all we need to do for all of the actions, because we don't need to complicate it. We'll figure this out. Oh yeah, Cody is awesome. I also watch Cody. There we go. Yeah, Cody is one of the inspirations to me for starting this series. Okay, so we're gonna figure this out. I believe when we use the authentication service to sign up, we are not returning anything. So we actually should be, yeah, we are throwing an authentication error, and basically all we need to do is just this. Yeah, this needs a lot of refactoring. And here's one more thing. If, yeah, Cody was here in the past stream. If you're using redirect in Next.js server actions, do not put it in a try. Okay, because the redirect, how the redirect works under the hood is that it throws an exception, and Next.js catches it. It sees that it's a redirect type of exception, and then it redirects the requests to whatever, right? We don't have access to the request and response here. We only have, data and input. And that's why, Next.js handles that behind the scenes for us. So this needs to get out, right? This needs to get out. And we're going to see how we can do this. For example, the sign in with password returns nothing, but maybe we should return something. Do let something is like null. Do that something here. And then, if something, redirect. Because I believe if we do finally here, it's going to get executed in both cases. And if we catch, we are throwing. Well, you know what? If we are throwing, we can just do this, right? We should be able to do this. But I'm gonna, yeah, let's not. It's a different talk. Hey, Gabriel. I'm not using Next.js. This is Supabase. But looking at the authentication service, you have no idea what I'm using, and that's the point. The keyboard, it's one keyboard, but it's just split. Yeah. That's fine. The catch will finish the function execution. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We don't actually need to complicate it. If we do this, yeah, this is not going to get executed if... Well, not necessarily, right? Because there's a... If an exception happens here, the catch is going to catch it. And it's going to rethrow only if the error is an instance of auth error. But if it's not, it's still going to redirect, right? We still don't want to do it. Yeah, there has to be a good way for us to fix this before moving on. Hey, Yasir. Yeah, I think I have to finish the first video. Yeah, there's like plenty of stuff that we did. But let's go back. DTOs. DTOs. We're bringing back DTOs. And we actually did, I think, in fully. Yeah. This is yet to be implemented. But we actually went through the DTOs. I changed my mind of the camera. And while I was explaining why I changed my mind, I changed my mind again. So we're not getting rid of DTOs. Shouldn't the error sent to Sentry be in a catch all error clause? Yeah, we're going to send the error to Sentry and we're not going to redirect. Can you wait it on until now? That overview only. I also have to start from the start. It's a lot of things. Like you can try, going through the... But basically we created like from the first stream. I'm going to try this real quick, but I don't want to waste too much time explaining the past streams. we started off with clean architecture. We took all of the not properties, but features of clean architecture, the principles. It has to be independent of the DB, it has to be independent of the UI, testable, mockable, refactorable, you name it. We took those, we looked at the layered architecture, we kind of married these two, we came up with our own something it's basically layered architecture, but we started off by from the clean architecture, and that made us do the services and persistence layer. We wanted to test. We did interfaces to the persistence so we can swap it out, but we also should look into that as well. But yeah, basically, in order to use the services in outside of the service layer and within the service layer, we needed a service locator pattern. And we started building the service locator, and that's next on our list. I'm going to explain that. We started building the service locator, and that's going to allow us to get an instance of that service in that specific time without having to, implement all of the services and instantiate all of the services, because that's going to be heavy. For example, for a sign-in action, when we just want to sign in, we don't need to instantiate all of the other services except the authentication service. So because dependency injection in JavaScript / TypeScript is very weird and buggy, and there's like a package called Inversify. I don't think it's gonna work in Next.js specifically because it uses Babel to do some stuff. I don't know. I didn't put too much reading into it, but basically it's gonna be a hell. So we said we're not gonna be using the classic dependency injection, so we can pull our services and use our services. We're going to implement a service locator pattern, which in a way it's not a dependency injection, but it caches the instances. So when we pull the authentication service once and we pull it again next time, we're gonna have the same instance. We're not gonna recreate it, and that's in the second stream. By the end, we also tried how Vercel is gonna cache between the server actions, because we're in a serverless environment. Caching is different, and it did cache in a single action, but we're not sure if it caches between actions. Yeah, service locator is kind of a factory, and I'll show it now. Yeah, highly recommend you redirect outside of the try catch block. Yeah, definitely, we are going to redirect outside of the try catch. We just need that that little flag to tell us if an exception was caught or not. Do I use AI, Gemini or GPT, something like that? Yeah, I use ChatGPT. Yeah, I had the Plus subscription from work, so I just use that. Okay, so DTOs, we're bringing them back. I'm gonna refactor all of this. We're not gonna spend time refactoring, the rest of the services. One is okay for us to test the idea, and we actually did two. Here's the update collection. And also the create collection. So it works, right? We tested the idea, we tested the architecture, it works. Next thing I want to talk about is the service locator. And we had an issue last stream where we couldn't do type matching. For example, here's the service locator. We say .getService, give me the collection service. And we didn't have typings, right? We received any. So I asked ChatGPT about it, and it gave me a really cool solution. Check this out. The service locator basically keeps two records for caches, one for the services and one for the repositories. And this is because we don't want to recreate instances of services every time we request them, right? Create them once, put the reference in the record in the cache, and then just return the reference from the cache. This is for the types. So we have two interfaces. One is the service map, and the other one is the repository map. We tried doing something else last stream, and that's why we we hit a wall there. But this actually fixes it. This is basically like I would say this can be also written in this way. For example, service map equals, it's going to be a plain object, right? Like this, but we can say s constant here. And I believe it's going to work. It should work pretty much the same. Or maybe it doesn't. Yeah, maybe it doesn't. Okay, doesn't matter. We are implementing interfaces where like a key is just a string, a name, and the value is the service itself, right? So we have two maps for services and repositories, and we also have private factories that will help us create instances and also cache. Just create these instances. So one for the service, and you can see, for example, for the collection service, we are also creating the repository or caching it, and then we return new service right here. And the repository factory only has like one repository. This application will have another one, the links repository, but I'm just gonna do that, off the camera because that's not important in this case. And then we have the get or create repository, still a private property for that's being used in the factory. And what it does is it give me the repository from the cache. Does it exist? Sure. Just log it out and return. If it doesn't, create it, right? Cache it and return it. That's all. The service does the same thing. Give me the service from the cache. You got it? Return it. If not, create it, return it, cache it, return it. That's all. And this is the get service, and that is the only method that is being exported or like exposed from the service locator. The get or create repository is private because we don't want to use repositories outside of the services, right? And we just want them, this way we prevent this jump from happening. This jump right here. Right? The only way to use the persistence layer is through a service. And you can use services inside of the presentation layer, but persistence layer, like repositories, they live here. I should call this repositories. There we go. Repositories are only, accessible through the service itself. That's it. And this is how the factory basically says how we are going to be creating specific services. If there are more repositories for the collection service, we'll just create that here, pass it through the arguments, and that's it, right? This is the service locator. This is what the service locator does, and this is how we use it. We are in a procedure, in a server action right now, and we just say service locator.getService. We pass in the name of the service, and yes, this is typed. It can only be these two. As you can see, either authentication service or collection service. So when we say, give me the collection service, we actually get the type of collection service. So we can do collections service dot, and here's all of our methods that we can use in the server action, in the Next.js page, in the route handler, etc. So that's how this is going to work, right? We can't abuse that. We can't go over the service and use the repository directly, or even the database for that matter. We can just use services. That's the whole point, right? Yeah. I'm gonna get in now. Get this gist.github, and I believe, let me see, did I actually update it? But I'm going to edit it because I think I made some more changes to it. There it is. Yeah. So when you add services, or when you add repositories, you're gonna need to update these. Hey, of course, you're gonna need to update these, and you're gonna need to update the factories as well. See, yeah, what gets created. And by the way, this is partial for a reason, because we don't want to, we want to create an empty cache at the start of it, at the start of the service locator. But this will force you to implement the service or the repository as soon as you add it to the interface, to the map. So this is why I like what I like about it, you know. You add it to the service map and then you just implement it here. And how you implement it, it's just how you want the service to be implemented. Yeah. Pull any of the repositories that you want, and say this collections repository, it's get or create, right? So for example, if we call the collection service again at a later point, this is going to be a get repository. The collections repository is going to be pre-cached. And the whole service is going to be pre-cached, but you get the gist. Yeah. Yeah, so this is the updated service locator mechanism / pattern. And this is going to work for us, I believe. We're yet to test this. We want to see if the cache is being persisted between specific actions, between different actions on Next.js. We did some testing for one action, so continuously invoking one action, that was the sign-in action, actually returned a cached version of the service, even though we are in a serverless environment. Vercel handles that for us. For some reason, I don't know, but we were happy. I want to contribute in code. You can't do it in this one, but when I publish the demo project, yeah, if you notice something, or if you want to improve something, we can work on that. Like we can have that project be. Here's a good example of you know, yeah. Okay, so here is the service locator. It's running good. If I were to run this app, I would need to fix all of those things. So, and I believe it's gonna be tough, but let's try. I'm going to go. I got the update now. I'm gonna go implement the rest of the methods. So you can see how I would approach even just like building out the application. Imagine that this does not exist. So we're going to do the delete collection service and, you know, method from the repository now. We don't want to do this. This is a big no-no. What we want to do is grab the collections service from the service locator .get service, and here's the collection service. And in here, I want to do I would do like let collection. It's going to be a collection DTO, right? I would do a try catch block here, just so we can catch errors and report them to Sentry, and also rethrow them as ZSA errors, because that's how we let the UI know. I would do collection equals the await collections service dot, we don't have that here, but delete collection, and we'll figure out what we want to pass. How you're not consoling anything and be sure that it will work. Confidence experience or anything. I guess confidence experience. I mean, it might not work, but you know, if we have a service that, you know, returns that, we just take it for granted. If an issue happens, we'll figure out why it happened. Okay, so here's what I want to do now. Inside of the catch, I want to do this. I want to rethrow this error, but as like a ZSA error, so the UI can, you know, act on it. Now let's go to the collection service and implement the delete collection. I believe that's like 2. There we go. Collection service. I don't have an interface for this. I don't feel like I need to have an interface for this. But if you know, if you go back the book, then services also need interfaces. Okay. Looks like the update is not finished, so we need to finish that. The new data here. And this should be of type collection update. And then we have the fingerprint. Oh yeah, the update should not contain the, like we can't change the fingerprint once it's created. The collection DTO is just a class that implements the same properties from the database, but it returns that specific specific properties from the database model, so we don't leak out, stuff, and we don't have dependencies on the database in the rest of the application. Okay, so there we go. I don't have any try catches here because the repositories will throw, and we'll catch it, in the server action. I've read that, it's better if we catch and handle errors as close they are, as close as they are to the actual source. So the error might, originate from the repository. So it's better if we catch and handle it in the service. But then I'm going to have to, we are throwing custom errors from the repository anyways. So I tried doing that this morning, like, catch it here and like throw a different error, because I don't want to handle stuff in the service layer. I want the presentation layer to handle errors. If this is a page, I want something else to happen. But if this was a server action, I want a totally different thing to happen. That's why I decided to just, let these exceptions bubble up to the presentation layer, and we'll handle them there depending on what type of presentation layer mechanism it is. If it's for example, if it's a route handler, I would just return a specific HTTP status code. But if it's a server action, I want to throw a ZSA error so that the UI can, show a little tooltip, or not a tooltip, but like a toast or an alert or whatever it is. So I would just let these bubble up to the presentation layer and then handle them there. We'll see. That's my idea for now, but we'll see how that's going to. We'll see if that will be a mistake. I'm losing my voice. Okay, update collection looks okay. We'll test it later. Delete collection. So we are in a service right now. Promise. I'll just return the collection DTO, the same collection after deleting it. When do you have planned to share the demo app or make a video about it? Do you have a date in mind? No, but I want to like figure this out and then work on the video. Yeah, I bet it's gonna be not like months, but like maybe a couple of weeks. I don't know, something like that. Yeah. Okay, delete collection. We need the fingerprint. There's no input, right? There's no input. So here I want to grab the user, and see we are in the collection service, but we're using the authentication service inside of the collection service as well. And this is how I set it up. I get the repository from the constructor, and that's where the service locator does that for me. But I also use the service locator to get the authentication service instance as well, and it's perfectly fine. Services can be used within, within each other. Give me the user, right? Give me the collection. Await this dot get collection for user. Here's the fingerprint, and here's the user. If that breaks, we'll figure it out in the presentation layer. So this is either going to, let's see, this is definitely going to be a collection DTO. Let's see how that looks like. Get collection for user, and it just invokes the repository, collections repository. Get collection for user. Where is it? get collection for, or get users collection. There we go. This might be a bad name, but yeah. Fingerprint and user ID. If there's an error, we're gonna throw it, fail to get collection, right? But past this point, the data is definitely existing. So for example, if we say, give me this collection, I'm the user, here's the user ID, and then give me the collection with this fingerprint, which does not belong to me, there's gonna be a throw. So we're not gonna return anything. And at this point, collection is not gonna be or null. It's always gonna be, there's always gonna be a value. So we don't need to do like ifs and stuff, you know. Let's see. Get collection for user. We have the user, we have the collection. I guess all we need to do is just delete it, right? Deleted collection equals await this collections repository. Delete collection. And I'm gonna pass the fingerprint. I'm also gonna pass the user ID, you know. I don't know, just in case, maybe. And then we want to return the deleted collection. So now let's go to the interface first and define the delete collection. And this is going to return a promise of the collection DTO. We're gonna take the fingerprint of the collection and also the user ID, just to have like a stronger query. I don't know, you know. So here's delete collection. Let's go back to the actual repository and do implement interface. Bam. There we go. But I'm gonna put this at the bottom. Also believe that recovering errors should be done at the highest level. Yeah, or just before the presentation layer. Yeah. Yeah, because I felt like, you know, depending on the scenario, I want to handle that specific error in maybe in different ways, right? For example, if I can't get the collection, but I'm in a page, in a server component, I might want to redirect because I can't show the page, right? If the error happens in a page, I can't show the page, so I might want to redirect. But if this is a server action, then I want to like return or throw an error and show a toast on the screen or something like that. Why are we not passing the authenticated user, which we got from the authenticated procedure? I know, I felt like I want to use the like I felt I want to use the service itself, right? So the method inside of the service does not require a user from the outside, right? The service should just receive the data, like the command and the input for that command. But if the user has to be the currently logged in user, the service will get that. So the service will not trust the whoever uses the service to provide the user, right? The service gets its own users, and there's no opportunity to, you know, inject a different user, but it's not that one. So I felt like, you know what, like create collection should just have a title and description. That's it, right? We'll figure out the user inside of the service. So that's why, even though I have the authenticated procedure returning the user, that's why I still avoid using that user, because if yeah, it should get it from the inside. Because if we want to use the create collection in a different scenario where we don't have the procedure, for example, in an API, still, you know, you would have to do stuff before actually calling the service. But the service is the one that, you know, gathers all of the, you know, in this case, the data that should not be different, like the users, etc., and does the validation. We shouldn't be doing that beforehand. Yeah. So I'm returning that, but I'm not actually using it. Might as well just remove the return because there's not going to be any context. Yeah. Okay, delete collection. We are in the repository now, and the repository just, implements stuff like this. If there's an error, it throws it. Otherwise, it just returns it. So let's see if we have data. Oh wait, this.db from collection delete, and we're gonna do like a hard delete in this case. Delete where the fingerprint equals the fingerprint we have from the arguments, and then we'll also put the created by, just to be sure, Yeah, because we don't technically need it here. Oh, async, not await. We don't need it here, but I don't want to be, doing any validations inside of the persistence layer, so that's why we just want to take it. Why taking the extra constant on line number 8 instead of returning direct? Like, you mean like return await? Because if that's the case, this is going to return Supabase specific error, and I don't want to, return anything that has anything to do with the database. Oh, you mean like this? I don't know. It's not a big deal, Same. I was checking the type, and I just left it there. Yeah. Okay, so this looks good, and I definitely want to do a select if I want to return the error, the actual deleted, and do a single, so the data is gonna be that. Yeah. Yeah. So if we have an error in this case, I'm gonna throw, and these need to be like specific errors, by the way. They need to be specific errors from the persistence layer. So when we bubble up, we can be specific about it. Okay, you tried to delete a collection, and now we have an error. Is it an authentication error? In that case, I'm going to return to the user, you must be logged in, or this does not belong to you. Or if this is a delete collection, then it's something else, In order to handle all of the errors in the persistence or in the presentation layer, we need to be descriptive with our errors. And that's why we need to create our own custom errors. And we started doing that, by the way. If you're just tuning in, you'll see I have a shared project folder here that has DTOs, but it also has errors. So we have a create collection error, we have an update collection error, and they don't really do anything. You see, they look the same, but we can use the instance of when inside of the catch. So when we catch an error, we'll say if the error is instance of create collection, there's one message. Or if it's an instance of authentication error, well, then something else happened. We need to do that. These need to be specific errors, and we have, I believe, in the authentication, or not. Let's see. No, but they need to be actual specific, special errors that we'll create ourselves if we want to, handle everything on the presentation layer. Right, so we can just return a collection DTO from DB, and we'll pass in the data. There we go. I think there should be a repository locator. Yeah, with its own cache, and Service Locator can accept it in the constructor and use it in the getService for building services. That is such a good idea. You're right. If we also have a repository locator, what I don't like about it is that, what I don't like about having a specific repository locator is that I can use it, in the, I can just use it in the presentation layer and, go about my day and finish earlier than 5 p.m. And that's gonna be on me. But what I like about it is that we can create a different type of repository locator that's going to create mocked repositories. So instead of using, for example, in this case, instead of using Supabase, we can use like a mocking technology and use that repository inside of the service layer and inside of the unit tests. If if we don't want to spin up a database for the unit tests, so I like that. If we have like a specific a separate locator for the repositories, yeah, we might look into that. That could be like a good thing. We also plan on starting to write some tests so we can validate that this architecture is is solid and does support mocking and does support unit testing, etc. So we're going to figure out if we definitely need if we definitely need a specific and independent repository locator, or we can just go by with the service locator. I was thinking we don't even use the we're not going to be using the service locator in the unit tests, but we're going to manually create our services, and the services do accept repositories from the constructors, and we will actually we will actually do that. But yeah, we'll see that later on in the testing phase. Yeah, but I think it will be a good idea to do that. I think you're actually right. Hold on. Check this out. Right, we have a collection service, and inside of it, it uses the authentication service. Actually, no. Because we're using the service locator inside, we don't need to be aware if the authentication service, uses its own repository, so we don't need to put them there. But yeah, we might need, we might hit a wall and say, yeah, we definitely need a repository locator aside from the, from the service locator. But we'll see, if we actually need it. All right, this looks good. I am throwing an error. I need to be throwing a specific error, but there is a to-do somewhere here. There we go. To remind us that we actually need to, there's one here, and there's one here. That we actually need to define custom errors, and we're going to look into that. How much experience do I have in total? My first official job was back in 2015, but my internship was like in 2013, so like give or take, 10 years plus minus. But I started to learn code in high school. I wasn't paying attention to the classes. I was just learning HTML and JavaScript instead of history. But yeah, like professional experience, like give or take 9 years, 9, 10 if you include the internship as well. Yeah. All right, so delete collection is done. We can go all the way down. There's the delete collection. We didn't do anything with this collection. Do I know how to handle custom error in errors TSX page since Next.js see it all casted as default? I don't know. I'm gonna have to look into that. I haven't been using the error.tsx component a lot, to be honest. Haven't been, that deep into the Next.js app router, but we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Okay, so check this out. We don't actually need the collection right here, right? Or we don't, right? We have delete collection. And it also accepts the user ID. If the fingerprint finds a collection and the user ID does not match the user ID, I mean, it's not like, if there is no collection with these two, the fingerprint and the user ID, it's gonna throw an error. So This is basically that validation. It's free. The squares beside the files. Oh, you mean these squares? I have no idea what those are. I think they're like Git stuff. I think because if I create something new .ts here, it's gonna be like this. And if I stage something new, where is it? There we go. If I stage something new, now it's gonna be like a, yeah, I think this is like if it's staged or not, the boxes. And I'm gonna delete it. Yeah, looks like it's Git stuff if it's staged or not. All right, so delete is pretty simple, to be honest. And this is a service. Like we get to, maybe we should do that, right? Yeah, that's from Neovim. Yeah. Maybe we should do some validation because like we are passing off the validation to the repository. Yeah, this does not look good. This does not look good. I think we should pull it out, you know? Like the repository is sudo. And the service is, I don't know. The service does everything correctly, but the repository is basically sudo. So if we say repository.delete collection, it's going to be like sudo delete. I don't care if the user, if the currently logged in user, or like who the currently logged in user is. If you give me a fingerprint, I'll just, you know, I'll just delete it. And I don't care. I mean, you're a service. You do the validation. I think we should pay attention to that. So that's why I think we should bring back the collection, and then we should do, or this is, yeah, this is just gonna throw, right? Get collection for user. Even this get collection for user, where is it? It's just get collection, which we already have. Where is it? Get collection. Oh, we don't have get collection. Yeah. Yeah, validation should be on the service. And that's why this, let's see, we just use it twice. I'm gonna rename it get collection. Remove it. Remove this. And just do get collection like this. We already have that in the repository. So this is a get collection method, and it's not being used anywhere, which means we can immediately, you know, just have it here. Here's the collection. We don't need a specific. Do we? I believe we don't. Let's see. We are gonna need a specific one when we want to render this. Okay. This is gonna stay. This is gonna be like this. Okay. So we're still gonna have a get collection because there's like a collection page, bfed.sh. Let me show that to you. There's gonna be like let's create a collection. Hello stream. This is fun. I need the enter to actually create it. Oh, hold on a second. Maybe it does. Yeah, there we go. Collection created. Do we have like 1,000,000 collections now? Yeah, of course, because I hit the, yeah, we need to fix that. But if we add a link, man, this is all, yeah, this is weird. It's too buggy. GitHub, let's see, I don't know, I'll just put in YouTube. If I do this now, we're gonna see it here. And if I view the collection page, this page is where we actually see the, you know, is where we actually see the, we use the get collection. Here's how it looks like. So yeah, we're gonna keep the get collection. We're not using it right now, but we're gonna keep it. And we're gonna do, validation as well. If the collection belongs to user, and then return it. Actually here. Update should not, I mean, should it? It should, right? Yeah, let's just like reuse it. So, you know, I just need the collection, including the validation. I don't need to do the validation by hand. So let's just reuse this method. Yeah, check this out. User equals this dot authentication get user if the collection dot well, hold on a second now. That does not mean that, you know, I mean, did you open that page I sent you in the chat? Did you see the collection? You're not logged in, so that means you still got to see the collection. That validation should happen. Validation should happen separately, and that's why I had the get collection for user. You know what? Let's just use it like this. You know, and this is gonna be private. We can keep this as a private property, as a private method. I mean, it's no big deal, even if it, you know, becomes, yeah, we'll figure it out. But basically, we want to have the user await this dot, there we go. If the collection dot created by is not the same as the user ID that we have from the authentication service. And this has to be, you know, this has to be a specific error as well. I'm just gonna, where are all the errors? Oh yeah, we don't have errors here. We need, this is gonna be the first time where we actually have the error in the service layer. Yeah. Collection. Like this should be, you know, in a way like a bad request. Collection, I would say collection not found, but collection does not belong to user. Yeah. Okay, get collection for user. So instead of, you know, dipping into the repository, let's just, you know, reuse get collection for user. There we go. And have the fingerprint. So this is going to be the law, right? Get collection for user is going to validate that the collection exists and that the user owns it. So when we want to do an update, we're going to use this get collection for the user. So in the meantime, we're also going to validate. For get collection for user, can we do a validation in Supabase query? We don't want to do that. The Supabase query is like persistence layer. We want to validate here in the service layer, right? So the repository is abstracting away Supabase for us. You know how in Supabase we can say, give me the collection and I don't care who the user is, and the Supabase client allows you to do that? Well, that's going to be the service layer, and we'll just treat Supabase as a database, but not as a driver, you know, or something that can, you know, validate stuff. Yeah, we want to separate these things. So yeah, validation happens in the service. You know, just when we write unit tests and we have mocked repositories, we also want to test that the validation still works. Yeah, that's why we can't put it in the repository layer, in the repository. Yeah. Okay, update. This is making sure that the user owns the collection before actually updating it. Delete. Yeah. We don't need the this. And we do not need the user ID. Wait, do we need this? Oh yeah, we actually need this. Okay, cool. There's the collection, right? And then we'll just say collection.fingerprints, so we don't have that error. That's it. give it and we don't actually need this. Do we need this? We don't need this, right? Yeah, and delete collection, again, sudo. Delete does not care about the user. Delete is the repository is, update as well. User ID, we don't need that. Get user collections, get users collection. This, we need this here. We need this here. To update, we just need the fingerprint and the input. No validation happens there. And to delete, we just need the fingerprint. Cool. So let's go to the repository now. See, delete. We don't care about this. We don't care about this. That's it. Update. We don't care about the user ID. We don't care about the user ID. Like the validation happens outside of the repository. If you didn't validate, that's on you. Now we're in the service. We remove this part. We remove this part as well. See how our code like shrinks now? Because that is, yeah, that's what should be the case. Nice. So update does validation. Delete also does validation. Deletes it. Go back. Let's go back to the server action. The only thing that we want to pass here, input dot fingerprint. That's all. And then we want to do the revalidate and redirect. Yeah, when we delete the collection, we want to go back to the collections page. How to use classes in Next? What do you mean? Like these classes? Like export class, like this type of class, it's just a class. Yeah, delete is done. Toggle collection published. This is basically an update, right? It's just like a separate server action because we have a little toggle in the UI there that when we click on the toggle, this one, published, now it's not published. And it says collection unpublished at the bottom. So we trigger the server action on that one. And it's basically an update collection where the input is a fingerprint and aside from the fingerprint, we also have the published, but nothing else. And the input for the toggle collection published, yeah, fingerprint or checked. So that's good. I believe we can can we reuse the service or we need a specific one? We might need a specific one. I think we should be, precise with our services. Yes, we can reuse the update, to update it in this specific way. Should we do that? That's gonna save us from, retyping, from typing a lot of code. But are we making any mistakes? Let's just see if it's possible. Alex, I like your keyboard. I'm learning touch typing and I'm interested in getting one of those. Oh yeah, this is the ZSA Voyager. And I did learn touch typing before getting into these, weird keyboards. I mean, I had this was my first, this is the Kinesis. I had this one first and I learned touch typing on this one. Then I switched over to the Kinesis, but the Kinesis was like way too big and I couldn't carry it to the office. So I got this one. And this is just a custom keyboard that we did at Sentry. It's pretty cool. But you definitely need, to learn touch typing. I mean, I haven't tried typing on these without learning touch typing. So you might, learn it on the fly, but it definitely made things a lot easier for me. All right, service locator dot get service, and I don't want to type this out, so I'll just say collection service. Okay, updated collection is going to be a collection DTO. Oh, there we go. Quick try catch. Updated collection equals await collections service dot, damn it, I pressed the wrong button. Dot, let's see if we can do updates. It needs a fingerprint and it needs the collection update, and that's we're gonna recreate that. Let's see. Input.fingerprint is the fingerprint, and in here we can just say, oh yeah, title and description is now needed. Title and description is needed. So yeah, let's just go ahead and create, you know, a specific method for the update collection. We need a fingerprint. Damn it, not update. Hold on. Toggle collection published. Yeah, fingerprint is going to be a string and published is going to be a boolean. And that is also going to return a promise of collection DTO. You see how I need to type in the promise explicitly in this case, but not in the repository case, because I have an interface in the repository case, but I don't have an interface here. That's why. Yeah, OOP is definitely more fun. It's less. Check this out. So, building apps in Next.js. If you don't, you know, give a damn about how your app is structured, you'll still be shipping code. You're still gonna be, you know, developing features, and you're gonna be developing them much faster. Like it literally, I built the POC for this app for Buffet in I think in like a weekend. But I had, as you can see, I had database queries inside of server actions, right? So I'm developing the app, right? But now that we're paying attention of where we put stuff, now we are engineering the app that I developed previously. Does that make sense? Reuse the other is fine for me because it's the same concern. Yeah, so I like that. But in that case, for the to update collection, I need to receive a partial for the collection updates. So I don't have to like do the title and stuff like that. And it is going to make sure that it's mine. It is going to, well, yeah, it is going to, in this case, oh, check this out. Yeah, in that case, let's go back. Yeah, let's actually do that. I'm gonna remove this. We're not gonna be doing the specific update. Inside the collection update, TSArc, have you used it before? No. Yeah, just make it, and I just need to pick out the published from here, and that's good. And also do input.published or collection.published. I'm not sure if there's like a name for this pattern, or if this is even a thing. You put the one, like the data from the input first, and if it doesn't exist, like if published is not being sent, then we'll default to the previous one. Yeah, that's what's happening here. That's why I have a new data, and I'm not sending, and I'm not sending ... input there. Okay, that's good. Let's go back to the updates collection, and all I need to do is just do the published input.published. Wait, what? Checked. It's checked because it's yeah, okay, makes sense. Because this is a server action, I'm using it in like a, am I using it in a form? And the form component, the checkbox does the checked. Yeah, it's all right. It's just a boolean. There we go. So now we have this updated, right? We need to handle the catch. All I do is just throw a ZSA error. In this case, And the ZSA error allows us to also wrap, the custom error, so we can rethrow it, and that's good. And this should be updated collection. So because this throws, this will only happen once. And there's no ifs in this case, so that's why we don't need to do it the other way. So toggle collection seems okay. We'll of course check it out, but yeah. Okay, so now we're getting into a zone where we also have links, as you can see. And we have nothing on links. We don't have, services. We don't have repositories. We have nothing on links. So let's take a breather. Let's see what we've done. Fix the import order for dot. Let me just do this real quick. I'm gonna go to the ESLint. Actually, I'm gonna go to the pre-tier RC, and I'm gonna add a little dot here. Come on now. What? There we go. Dot, and I wanna, yeah, like a literal dot. Is that the no? Let's see. Save this. So when I save this, this should go below the database, and there should be like a new line. Not really. Yeah, I need to find a way to actually achieve this. Okay, you know what? This doesn't matter. This is nothing to do with today's stream, so we'll just leave it. We have the repository. It has create collection. We just need to throw custom errors. Get collection. This is repository, so we are interacting with the database. This is good. This is good. These are all the same queries. Then we go to the service. The service sets itself up, and then it uses the either other services or repositories to perform all of the, to perform the, see what is there, the operations. So in create collection, we have the whole user here, and we're just using the ID. So let's fix that. We don't care about the type of user. See, user ID. Yeah, we don't care about the type of the user. We just need the ID. There we go. See, we are removing code when we are adhering to the actual, architecture. Okay, let's see some chat now. Do you know TS Arc? No, I don't. Have you used it before? No, but I do want to check it out. Architecture unit test framework for TypeScript. Ooh, interesting. It's a library for checking architecture conventions. Yo. Okay. Should not depend on the UI. Folder should not depend on files in folder UI. Okay. This is an instant star. I don't know how it works, but I love that we can enforce this. Dude, Max, thank you so much. This is looking good. I'm gonna check this out and have this in mind when we go into the testing phase. Gabriel, optimistic update at lowest level. Hell yeah. How did you learn to code? I started reading stuff. Started with HTML, then I got into JS. Then I wanted to build an Android app, so I learned how to do Android and Java instead. Learn by doing. That's what I can say. If you try anything else, you'll most likely fail. But just try to do something and learn how to do that and do it. That's it. I like your Vim config. I've been tempting to sit down. Yeah. Yeah, here it is if you want to check it out. github.com/nikolaflazar/.files. Okay, I guess we can, there we go. User.id. I guess we're ready. This is the service. We fixed this. All goes. I guess we're ready to get into the links, but for the sake of this stream, I would instead of bothering you while I'm already implementing the same type of service for links, I think it's better if we spend time in error handling, and I'm gonna implement all of the remaining like links stuff, because the links are gonna look exactly like the collections: create, update, delete, stuff like that. Falak, what is the VS Code theme? It's NeoVim, it's not VS Code. Yeah, and my dot files, I just posted them so you can see it there. Okay, yeah, let's actually start here in the repositories and think about handling errors, because we have a lot of to-dos in here. So we can't say that I can't say that collections repository is done, because I have a bunch of to-dos here. Sudarsh, we didn't do that just yet. Yeah. We only tested, in the same action, but not between. We still haven't done that, because we started to refactor this heavily. That's why we can't really build and run the app at this point. I guess we have to like go, until the very end with the refactoring in order to figure out, and in order to see if the caching is done between actions. But I'll be really curious to see if it does. I would say not. I would expect the services not to be cached between actions, but I would be really surprised if Vercel caches them between actions. All right, let's soldier on. We need to define custom errors and then handle them in the presentation layer. Instead of writing single, can we write a common function? I guess we can. I don't know. But it's like in... I don't think it's like a big deal. Dot select, dot single, It's only here. Sometimes we have dot select and dot equals and then dot single. But can we do this? No, we can't. Yeah. Yeah, so sometimes select and single, there's like an EQ between them if it's only for a select. If it's like an insert or update or delete, aside from delete, yeah, then it's here. So I don't think it's gonna be like a super huge improvement. I'm sort of a new to your channel. Can you tell me what you're trying to build in a nutshell? Yeah, we're trying to figure out how to structure a Next.js app in such a way that is easy, more maintainable, more testable, actually testable. So we started off with clean architecture. We tried to understand the point of clean architecture and overall how it looks like. That the apps need to be testable, not the backend, for example, because we're doing this only for the backend. React has nothing to do with everything that we're building here. This might as well be a Next application. It's still going to be the same. So the backend, the logic, the actual functionality, that's what we're architecting right now. It should not be aware of the UI. It should not be aware of the database technology, if it's Supabase or if it's just plain Postgres or if it's like a Drizzle. It should not care. And it should be structured in a way so we can unit test our services and the whole logic, basically. So that is what clean architecture is about. And then we looked into layered architecture, because clean architecture, I guess layered architecture was simpler than clean. And you can say like, okay, if you like look at the, I don't know, we started from clean architecture and we built something that looks like a layered architecture, I guess, but we are still achieving the same I guess we're still achieving the same as we would with clean architecture, more or less. The things that we care about, Clean architecture has more stuff. Has like use cases, and like the database is also on the same. It's like on the no layers, there are no levels. I don't know. Yeah, we're architecting Next.js apps in a way that it makes it easier for us. DDD crew, yeah, let's go. Hey Joseph, how's it going? I think it will be cached. Well, I've been following along from episode 1 and I have implemented it. Nice. We'll try and let you know if Vercel caches. That would be really cool. Sudars, thank you. If you can do the experiment and share the results with us, I would really appreciate it. Oscar, which layer do you think the form validation should be? Sorry, I started speaking Macedonian because I saw Velinov in the chat. This is going to be in the service layer. So check this out. Let's say you have a form. That form uses, like it sends the request to server action, right? So that means we're going to be here. One thing, the form validation should be on both sides for security reasons, right? You want to validate the form on the client side, so you don't send data from your app that is not in a good shape. But then you also want to validate the data on the receiving end, and that's here in ZSA. But you can use Zod to validate the whatever data comes in. So you want to do that in both places. And because this is in presentation layer, and I mentioned that the data should be validated in the service layer, I guess it should be like, I don't know. Should we do it in the service layer? Because that means the validation, actually no, we should not do that in the service layer. We should keep it in the presentation. This is a server action, right? And it's a specific technology. If you had like a route handler, it's going to look a bit different, right? It's not going to be like the server action. And you would pull the data from, request.body, and you would need to like read it and parse it, etc., depending on like what you're using. So in that case, you're still using, you're still doing specific things for, to obtain the data. Just as like you're doing specific things to obtain the data from the action itself. So once you do, I don't know, let's see. Once you do, then you can pass it off to the service, and the service can actually validate that for you. I guess we can go about that, but then that actually we have the input here. So here's the presentation layer, and we have the input here. And I know it doesn't look, let me try to put this all the way to the back. Yeah, it doesn't make any difference. Yeah, should we do that? Should we validate the input here? I figured it's like a presentation layer type of thing, whether if it's a page, maybe it's like arguments from the page. If it's an action, or we also have like route handlers as well. Route handler. The route handlers. I think you want to keep the boundaries separated. So by the time the service is called, the action should be valid. Yeah, effectively a controller type of thing. Yeah, we initially did that because we were using ZSA, and we thought, you know what, ZSA does come in with built-in functionality to validate the input schema. So we're not even going to instantiate a service if the the input is not valid. So it's like, that's the gain. Like that's what we gain. We don't instantiate, we don't recreate repositories and services if the data that we received into the into the action is not valid in the first place. So that's why we keep it here, and that's why like we can keep it there. Yeah, I feel like, I feel like input validation, every mechanism is responsible for its own input validation. If it's a server action, the server action itself is responsible for the input validation. If it's a route handler with request and response, it's responsible for its own input validation. So I guess we can say that, yeah. So the time the service is called, yeah, the action should be valid, especially effectively a controller type of thing. Yeah, yeah. Services are being cached. I'm using TRPC instead of ZSA. I have two mutations, one sign in and one sign up. Both requests auth service, and it's being cached between server actions. That is awesome. So that makes our service locator implementation even better, if you ask me. Because like everything is going to be cached, even if you are in serverless environment in Vercel. So you create the collection service in one action, in the first action that calls it, but then every other action that precedes it will just reuse the previously created service, which is what we want. It's like, yeah, the cache is being persistent between actions. That is awesome. That makes me happy. I would put this in a Docker on Hetzner. That's the next thing that I want to do, as part of, maybe not as part of this stream, but like maybe a follow-up stream. We figured out the the architecture and stuff. Now let's try to put it on an actual Hetzner server. So we'll do that next. You can maintain global LED variables in AWS Lambdas. Yeah, I mean, check this out. Next.js.org, monitoring, where is it? No, instrumentation. Yeah, instrumentation. There's this file called instrumentation.ts where that gets executed, I guess, after each deploy, or I don't know how. But basically, this is where you set up instrumentation stuff like Vercel, and like Sentry also taps into the instrumentation file to register all of the the whole mechanism for instrumenting your Next.js app. But aside from that, it is experimental, of course. But check this out. Where was that? Yeah. Importing files with side effects. Sometimes it may be useful to import a file in your code. It doesn't say it's about instrumenting or performance monitoring, etc. Let's start a custom error. Yeah, we do want to do. But yeah, this defines a set of global variables. This tells me that it's possible to, to keep the cache between different server actions. But we're not going to use this now. Yeah. All right, custom errors. Enough, rambling about stuff. Let's see. Here we are. This is the repository. We want to bubble up custom errors, and we want to see how we can handle them. We already have the errors, and we have collection errors and auth errors. I think we use the auth errors. Yeah, we do. So here's how they look like. This is the authentication service. It does not have a repository. That's why the errors come from the service itself, because the Supabase, SDK does that for us. So it is in a way the repository that we're missing here. So we're throwing authentication errors, and we're just passing the message from the Supabase error. And then we go to let's go back and find the references. We go to the action, and we check if the error instance is of type auth error, then we want to throw the ZSA error in this case. And we just throw it in, just map it and throw it in this case, because this only does one thing: sign in with password, and that's it. But if we're doing something more complex like this, not create, but like, let's say, yeah, delete or update, we catch an error, but that can mean multiple things. That can mean, I don't know, like the input is wrong for some reason, and it wasn't caught by the validation. It can mean that we have the collection does not belong to us, or it can mean that the repository cannot connect to the database and cannot actually, perform the update operation. So that's why we have 3 separate use cases where an error can happen inside of here. We're not talking about the authenticated error because we are already authenticated at that point, right? We don't talk about the input validation error because the input should be valid based on the input schema that we defined, which is different than the one that the database, expects. So for example, if we update the database, if we say we have a property and the minimum, like it should be nullable or not nullable, let's say, and by default it is nullable, but we change it to non-nullable on a database level, but we didn't update the input schema, that's where that type of error can happen, right? Because the input schema, this one, does not equal the database and what the database expects. So we need to create specific errors for those cases and handle them here. If the error is of that specific instance, maybe return something else. Otherwise, we might just throw a new ZSA error by the default. Yeah. Okay. Let's get inside the repository now and start creating some errors. We're going to start at the top. Failed to create collection, and there's an error here. And this is a Postgres error. Let me see what we have as part of the creation error. We have a hint, details, message, and code. Okay, that pretty much tracks the like generic, not generic error, but it's like error plus those things. But I want to see Supabase client types. I want to see errors, maybe error codes. And these are probably not where we want to see. We're interested in the, yeah. This is in auth. We don't want to go there. We want to go to the database. For example, for the insert. And check out the error, but I don't see. Let's see. Like before we get into creating custom errors, I just want to make sure that they have something on, errors and database errors, not like authentication errors. I guess they don't. Max client connections reached. That's like a rate limiting error. Yeah. Okay. Nothing in that sense. So we can't really branch here or like throw some specific stuff. I guess all we need to do is just fail to create a collection and then, pass. We can definitely pass the original error as the cause. We can definitely pass that so that we can pick it up with Sentry and send it to Sentry. But in the server action, we'll just return a simple string so we can let the user know that something bad happened. So I'm fine with this and with the cause. All we need is like a new error. that can be like a creation error, which we already have, right? Collection errors, create collection error. Yeah, just do that. And we also need to extend it. Do we need to extend it? Actually, no, yeah. The cause is part of the... Yeah, the cause is part of the error interface, the native error interface. And it says undefined, so we'll see. But here's a custom error. Create collection error, right? We're gonna do pretty much the same here. Failed to get... Okay, this is a different one. Failed to get collection. What could be the case here? If we say give me that collection with that fingerprint, but it doesn't exist, it's not going to be an error. It's probably going to be... It actually is going to be an error. Yeah, I feel like Supabase will throw if we try to get something and it doesn't exist, right? We need to check that. But basically, it should be like a fail to get collection. Yeah. Okay, so let me see. I'm rethinking the custom error thing. For example, if we have a message here, there's always going to be a message. And we're passing the original error through the cause. And we go to and we do this basically. There's going to be undefined, but I guess the error.message is going to be there. And we can just, log this with Sentry. I'm not sure. Do we actually need this? Even if we keep it like this. Can you set up for me my VS Code, please? Receive. What is that? What does that mean? Do we need this? I feel like we need to... We can do if else, and we can just return the specific message here. But now we see that the repository itself does return, does return a message. Should we just display this to the user? Failed to create collection. Yeah, these should not be... If we do that, like here's the thing. If we do this, if we say we'll just throw we'll just wrap whatever the error is and the message with the ZSA error and throw that so the UI can display a little whatever with that message, that means that we're controlling the message content inside of the repository. So the message content of the toasts is a UI thing, and we're controlling this in the repository. No, definitely not. So we do need custom errors. Yeah, I'm using NewVim. So for that reason, we definitely want to have our own custom errors, because the repository should just throw, and whoever's concerned can handle it as they want to handle it. But that's why we need specific errors like this one. So whether we have failed to create a collection here, or we just set the message as, like a whatever it is, the create collection error should not be concerned what's going to happen on the UI. And should it throw a more like UI friendly messages? Yeah. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna remove this and set the message to creation error. dot message. So I'm just gonna pass the, I'm just gonna pass the original Supabase message error through the create collection error. Then we're gonna go to the service. This is just gonna throw, and we're gonna go to the action, server action, and we're going to catch it here, right? So if the error is an instance of the collection creation, was it like that? Let's go from shared errors collection errors. Create collection error. Yeah. Hey, Gabriel, I must leave you. See you next time. Thanks for hanging out, and thanks for the help. Appreciate it. There we go. Collection creation. What is that? Creation. Create collection error. God damn it. Okay. There we go. So if it's of this instance, we want to, throw a different type of ZSA error, right? Where the thing, like the status is, let's see, should be just like bad requests. Conflict, unprocessable content, forbidden, internal server. Maybe it's not an internal server, it's an error. It's an actual error. And the message, I'm not gonna pass this one because this is only for the UI. Let's see. What's the constructor here? And there's data as well. Okay, so it can be a code, right? Data and then more. And data is unknown. How do I pass a message? ZSA.Vercel. Oh yeah, we can just like throw a specific string, and because we're using the ZSA, the error is gonna be second argument. Or we can just do this. Yeah, the data is basically that. Cool. What's the message now? Cannot create collection. Try again next time. Andri, maybe you mentioned this, but I have one question that worries me. If we use React or React Native, where will we put state management, stand, etc.? In this case, whatever you want on the client side, because we're only doing this for the backend. From my perspective, if we put it in a data layer, we need to access it from the presenter to subscribe for a change. Yeah, this is just for the backend. So whatever we do, clean architecture wise, it's only for the backend part. The front end or the client side, it's just, in our case, it's React Server components, so we don't actually need a lot of contexts and, state management, etc. But if we was, it would be there. It would be there on its own. So this has nothing to do with React or state management or anything like that. Yeah, this is just backend. It's just for the backend, but in the context of Next.js, because we're using server actions, and ZSA and stuff like that. Cannot create collection. I don't know what we can say. In hold on, something's wrong here. So I see prettier D, but it doesn't look like saving. You see these? We have like double quotes, but it should have been single quotes. It's weird. Okay, that doesn't matter. Maybe that's why we didn't have we couldn't make the prettier work before. Cannot create collection, I guess, and then I'll just leave a to-do report error.cause to Sentry, because error.cause, this one, it's unknown, but that is the original error. That is the Supabase error, or whatever it is under the hood, right? We want to bubble up we still want to bubble it up, not as a type, but as just like a cause, and that's it. And report that to Sentry so that we can look into it when, we can look into the original exception when it happens. But for the user, we just want to say cannot create collection, and that's it. Okay. Now we have update, and I believe for the update it's going to be the same. Get users collection, update collection. Yeah. It's going to be throw new update collection error. And it's going to be error.message. Yeah, we don't need the message here because we're not reporting that to the user, but I guess we have to pass something. Yeah, message is required. And we're also reporting the cause, which also includes the message itself. So this is not being used, but yeah. So here, if the error is an instance of the update collection error, we want to do exactly the same as the create. Bam. Yeah, there's something wrong with prettier. It doesn't actually. There we go. Cannot update collection. I'm not sure if we should like pass. We have the message here. I'm not sure if we just pass the message down. I'm not. I guess we have to run this in order to remind ourselves like what the error that message was, and if it's like user friendly enough. Let's see, we got some messages. Although state management sounds a bit like data manipulation, it must remain in the presentation. Yeah, since the data does not come from there. Yeah. In most cases, the global state in React, okay, this is for like clients. I'll let you folks talk about that. Okay, let us say error, cannot update collection. Should we be more, descriptive about that? I don't know. Let's see. I'm gonna say reason, and then I'm just gonna do error.message. So we will have the message in this case, and this is going to be the Supabase message. Okay, we just throw the whatever Supabase or Postgres or Drizzle messages from the persistence layer there. I'm not sure if this is user friendly, but let's try somehow to cause it. I don't know. I know how we can cause it. We have to break the create collection. So I'm gonna make the title optional, just for the just for the fun. But before I do that, I'm gonna try to run the app, and I need to do something about these because they are, see, they're basically still using this. Well, let's do this now. Here's what we can do. Supabase equals create client from the server. We're gonna do it the old way now, just so we don't have the errors, so we can run the app, so then we can see how the messages are, how the messages look like, so then we can see if the errors are being handled correctly. We want to get the, we have the Supabase. What else do we need? We need the user. Okay, so authentication service layer. Jesus. Service locator dot getService. No. Dot getService authentication service. Beautiful. User equals await authentication service. Get user. There's a user. We're not going to use anything from the context, and we're missing the existing collection, but we do have the collection. No, this is the link. Okay, cool. There's the user, and I'm also gonna grab the collections. And I'm gonna grab the collection, but I'm not gonna do a try catch. I just wanna, I just wanna make this runnable. Collections.service, collection service, get collection for user. Sure, go ahead. Input dot fingerprint and then user dot ID. Oh, we don't need the user dot what? Yeah, this is not get collection for user. We don't need the user ID actually. Yeah, it's still get collection for user, but it's, yeah, maybe the name is a bit, weird in this case, but we'll figure it out. Here's the collection, and this is going to be the existing collection. I'm just going to remove the existing and make this a collection. Well, we only need the fingerprint, so I'm just going to do input. Yeah, don't do this, don't do this. Much simpler. We should have read that before we jumped into it. Okay, Supabase, same thing. There's Supabase. We don't need this. Everything else is happy. Nice. Supabase again. Let's bring in the old Supabase. There we go. Okay, let me npm run build this so we can see if we have more errors. We probably have. My confidence is not super high that we don't have errors, but let's see. Yeah. This is in the auth actions. There it is. Sign up is void. But now sign up throws. So we should just handle it. There we go. So let's figure that out first. I believe we can just put it there, because this is going to rethrow, so this is not going to be here. We will not reach this point if there's an error. And I believe it's going to be the same in this case as well. So we don't have a result because there's nothing. I'm going to try catch this. And we actually don't even need the auth error here, to be honest. Yeah, whatever it is, we don't care. Just, rethrow it and send it to Sentry. And this is probably where we should do the, this is where we should do the custom message to the client, but let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. I'm just going to copy this block, place it in the catch. And if everything's fine, just revalidate and redirect. Reset password is probably going to be the same. Yeah. I'm going to grab this whole block, place it here. I'm going to grab this, place it here, delete this, get this in, and that's it. Same thing. Okay. npm run build. Update collection. String or null is not assignable to string or number of read or undefined. Yeah, look at that. Where is it? There we go. Yeah, so the schema does not. Yeah, the schema is not okay. Null is not assignable to string or number or read only or string or undefined. Yeah, because we made it null. I guess we need to update the update collection input schema, and check this out. This is being used both in the client side. So here's the form and the resolver. This happens in the browser, but we also use it as a not gonna happen, I guess. Wait a minute. That's the description. So instead of being undefined, it can be nullable. That's all there. It's basically all that it says. And do I send handle submit and execute? And execute is this. Here's the, yeah, we're just showing the error message as a toast. Input placeholder, and this is the description. And yeah, I believe it's because we have, instead of undefined, we made the description as nullable. So if that's correct, I'll go here and make the description optional and go back, and the error is gone. But I believe the error is in a different place now. Let's see. There's a difference between null and undefined, but I'm not sure in what context we use that on the backend. Create collection, again, null is not. Yeah, why did we do nullable? Why did we do nullable? Nullable versus undefined or optional. Seriously can't remember. Should have written that somewhere. Let's see. Okay, there we go. So input now is undefined. There we go. So create collection. When we go here, the collection inserts picks out the description from the main collection type, which is or null, which is nullable. Well, there it is. Maybe I should. So the nullable on the front end is tied to the property being nullable in the database. That's not good. And that is not good. What should we do? I can do this. I can like not pick it out, just pick out the title and append the description. But then well, I'm gonna have the same issue here as well. Okay, this is where these are causing issues. Types. How do we handle this? If we make these nullable, then we're gonna have the issue here. And this is a TypeScript issue. This is not a data issue. String or undefined is not assignable to string or null. So we need to make up our mind. Should we use null? Should we use undefined? If we use null, we need to do something on the I would say this. Optional or null? If we change this to nullable, that means we need to update the UI and patch things up. Not the UI, but the client, and patch things up over there in the client side. If I keep it as optional, that means we need to change the type instead of being optional to be instead of requiring null to require user or null to description like string or null. God damn it, I'm confused. Instead of string or undefined to be string or null, the other way. But you get the gist. How do we do that? If we say undefined, and if we try to patch up the type, let's see this. I'm gonna go into the types here. The collection insert defines the description as null because the Supabase defines it like that. That's the collection. Can I just do and partial pick tables collection description and remove it from here? No, it's still gonna be null. It wasn't required. Oh, it was required. So now collection description or no? Okay, so there's definitely. I'm not picking out description. I'm picking out description from here. Blah. Oh yeah, I would have to omit it. But check this out. If I don't pick out the collection, the description, it's not gonna be there. So I need to. I don't think in this case we can solve this by, pick or omit or whatever it is. I need to manually add it, like description is a string or undefined. Because if I try to pick it out, it's always gonna be like the property is not nullish, right? It's not optional. I don't know. It doesn't have like a question mark to it, but the value can be null. So that's the if I do like if I do partial or whatever it is, it's still gonna have the or null. So it's not about whether to have the property or not. It's about changing the or null. And I believe we can't, use the utility types from TypeScript to change this because it's like part of the value. So it has to be this. Like it has to be manual. But then I still have a string or null. Why is it not being updated? Oh, now it's undefined. Okay, I get it. Yeah, it's like, it's here, pick from this table, pick these out. Yeah, that's the case. And this is where the description is being set. So this should be okay. We can keep this as optional. The DTO. There we go. We have one more null. That should be undefined. And this is okay now. Or undefined. And if we go all the way back to the create collection, where's that description? Oh yeah, there we go. This is okay. Okay, let's see. Let's build it again. God damn it. Created at, created by, description. Oh, look at that. Collections, data table. Oh yeah, I'm using the collection now. Okay, interesting. Interesting. Yeah, we should not be using that here. Collections page. There it is. So in the data table, the data is being set. Where is it? Yeah, the data extends collection, and this collection is the official collection. That also includes created by, created at, and all these things. But for this case, the collections. Oh, it does the null thing. Yeah, you see, here's the This is where we can also use. Well, let's try refactoring this. Let's actually use the service. In this case, we have like, give me the user and give me all of the collections for that user. So let's do that. Plus, it's going to be the first use case where we're using the service locator and a service inside of the page. Which, yeah, we also need to do error handling. Is there an error here? There should not be. Oh, look at that. No way. Come on. I don't like this. So the data now, description is nullable. Why is this happening? Why is this happening? Oh, no. Don't tell me that. Of course. Of course. Get the two values, and if we don't like it, let's just see create collection page. Description is happy, I guess. I guess we'll have to see if we made a mistake there. All right, get collections. So collections is like, give me all of the collections for the user, right? And then we display them in the table. And that should be, first, the type is wrong. We should not be expecting the whole collection. Should we expect the whole? I guess we can expect the whole collection, right? Because we only have these. Title, published, fingerprint. That's fine. You know what? That's fine. The only thing is that we actually need, and this is going to be fine as well, you see, because we added or null or undefined. So like we have two possible values. So this is happy. Okay, if it is happy, let's see, npm run build. Let's see if we can build this and run this, and let's see if we can start seeing some data. Okay, links actions. Ooh. links action. Superbase is not here anymore. Create clients, and that should come from the server. Authentication service equals service locator. Bring that in as well because we're in the links. Get service authentication service, and then user equals authentication service. We should await that as well. Get user. Okay, so I'm gonna copy these, and I feel like we're going to be, yeah, pasting these multiple times. That register thing in NeoVim again. It's actually Vim, it's not NeoVim. Oh, we don't need the service here, probably, just Superbase. Okay. Let's build it again. Yeah. DTOs. That was a disaster. I don't know how to handle that. But I'm very not happy about it. By the way, when you actually start a new project with, you know, a good architecture in place, instead of refactoring it, you're not gonna have to go through this whole process. But there we go. We can say that now we are probably runnable. Let's do npm run dev. Let's open localhost on 3000 and let's see what happens. I'm also gonna open DevTools right here, but I'm gonna be bringing them to the screen when we actually need them. So sign in. Sign in is enabled right now. So for example, let's try signing in with a wrong username and password. Let's try this one. I'm gonna clear up the console, hit sign in, invalid login credentials, right? So if we want to see what happens, auth actions, sign in with password, this happens. Okay. If I were to do, oh no, and try this again, the message will change. Yeah. That means the message that we're seeing comes from Superbase. I guess I can leave it in this case. Plus, it's not gonna be, we don't have to report this to Sentry if the username or password is, you know, is not valid. That's not a bug. You know, it's just a bad request. It doesn't exist. So should we care about that? Maybe we should, you know, pass that to Sentry. But we should be handling that in a specific way. For example, if we see these, that means our users are messing up their passwords, but there's nothing that we, the developers, can do about it. You know, the users should just, I don't know. There's nothing you can do about it. If the user is trying to sign in with like typos and in the email, yeah. Okay, let's continue with GitHub so we can move past this point. And now we're here. We have a test collection. You can try prevent brute forcing. This project is for your job. It's like my side project. You can try prevent brute forcing. It's already a, like in a way that it is, but only from the client side because let me sign out and I'll show you. If you go to sign in, you'll see that there's the Cloudflare. I mean, I know what you mean. Brute forcing on the client side, yeah, but that's gonna be on the level of the server action. We need to implement rate limiting on the server action. But yeah, I'm gonna have to look into that. Yeah, like that part prevents prevents bots and stuff like that. But I can still, still, if I'm a user, I can still like do enter, and like throw a bunch of requests there. Okay, but yeah, here's the request, and the toggle is now enabled. Let me actually bring that here. The toggle uses the services, it uses the whole thing. So let's see. Okay, there's I'm gonna zoom out just a little bit just so I can see. And let me also hide myself so you can see this part as well. So the payload, here's what we sent. We sent checked false, and this is the fingerprint. And that's true. Is it true? Yeah, it is true. And the checked is false. Failed to load response, no data found, and we have an error. Only plain objects and a few built-ins can be passed to the client component from the server. Okay, that is the toggle. Let's actually debug this. I'm gonna go here, stop this, okay? I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna run this we're using the debugger. I'm gonna bring myself back again. We don't need this now. We're gonna run this with the dev argument. Cool. And now we are debugging. So I'm gonna go to collections actions, toggle collection published, and I'm gonna put a breakpoint here, and a breakpoint here, and a breakpoint here, and a breakpoint here. Okay. Now we're gonna try doing the same thing, but we're gonna go, line by line to see what actually happens. Trigger this. There we are. Get the service. The service is the actual service. There we go. Create collection, delete collection. Fine. Try to update this. And it's going to revalidate and return the updated collection. Okay, so the updated collection is a class, is a DTO. Does it mean... Let me try something. Can we do JSON.stringify updated collection? Well, yeah, it does stringify it easily. See, created by, created, but it's like with underscores. So this should, okay, interesting. You see, this is where we need to, get the DTO and convert it into like the collection type. Or implement or override the... I'm not sure if the JSON.stringify... Yeah, it's probably just object.keys, object.values, and then map through them and then put them in the string. Okay, but it's still, it's still possible to stringify that. It's you can parse it. But when we... Let's see. When I try to return this, that's when I get the error on the client side. So we should go here. Actually, it's the collections data table. Is it? It's not. It's the columns. There we go. Collection published switch. Inside, we're doing the use server action from ZSA is pending and executes. If there's an error happening, this is gonna show up. If there's a success, that's gonna happen. And then we just invoke execute when we when we toggle the select. But where does this come from? Let me see. I'm gonna remove the breakpoints now because can be only plain objects and a few built-ins can be passed to client components from server components. Classes or null prototypes are not supported. And where is this? You don't actually see where this is happening. So it's the same error. Yeah, but it is like, yeah, when we changed it to the private constructor, we forgot to change the property names. Yeah, I mean they're technically like private, but if you do like JSON stringify, it does print them out with the values. We just need a. Should we get like a from DB? Should we make a new public method to object, to plain object? Let's try that. Let's see if that's gonna work. I'm gonna grab these, put these here. Oh yeah, we can use the getters. And now here, let's try to plain object, right? Toggle collection published will just return an object with the values. Let's see that in action again. Yeah, that was the case. Collection unpublished. Nice. Let's try to like trigger an error somehow. We're in the repository. I believe we use the update, right? Update collection, yeah. Update collection. Oh, check this out. There's the error. We're always... See, it's published now, right? But if I refresh, it's actually going to be unpublished. Okay, input dot published here, but we need an error. I need to trigger an error somehow. Can I do a null here? No. It's string or undefined. String or undefined, but if I go to Supabase, I believe the title is not nullable. Yeah. The title is not nullable, as you can see. The description is, but not the title. So if I say null and just ignore the error because it's just a TypeScript error, are we going to hit an issue here now? Okay, check this out. That is not friendly. You see that? Null value in column title of relation collection violates non-null constraint. From UX standpoint, this should not reach the user, right? Why should you be speaking SQL to your users? Right, so it's good that we have the failed to publish collection, but then the ZSA error also inherits the message, puts it as a description. Interesting. You see that? Yeah. So we should not be wrapping the errors with ZSA error. Let's go to here. Let's go here. Toggle. Yeah, this is where the case is, right? To do report error to Sentry. Cannot toggle. Cannot. Let's do this. Cannot. And if the input dot checked is true, we'll say publish. Otherwise, unpublish collection. That's gonna be the message. Okay, so let's try that again. How do I use DTOs in an array? What do you mean? Bam. Failed to publish collection, cannot publish collection. Yeah. Failed to publish collection, cannot publish collection. Oh. So the failed to publish collection is actually coming from the page. Or from the, well, let's see. Create collection, toggle. Where is that toggle? Toggle collection published. There we go. Yeah, you see? Failed to. Bam, and then there's the message. So instead of doing this, in our case, I would just do this. Yeah. And if it's success, we don't have an error, so just like, yeah, go. I'm fetching multiple links. Do I need to map and pass it through DTOs? We'll see. We're gonna have to see that. But it's a good point. And that should probably happen in the service, right? Instead of doing this, the updated collection, it should be, yeah. It should happen in the service at least. Let's see. Return updated collection. Yeah. Because if we're in the repository, I'm gonna bring this back because we pretty much checked it. Return this DTO from the database. And then if I do, I can like do the plain object here, but then interesting. You see that? Maybe that should happen in the presentation layer. Or this, what this does is basically it's, yeah, new collection DTO to plain object data, and then just array push, yeah. Should this happen? Because we have DTOs now, right? And these DTOs help us avoid having to work with the database types, but we have our own type. But before we return them, when should these be converted back into like a plain object? Should that be the presentation layer? So each of the, like if it's a server action, it's going to figure out the output. Yeah, because it does make sense. Check this out. So you know how we have inputs and the server action validates the inputs, right? We can also have output. And I'm not saying that we're going to be using the output property. I'm saying that the ZSA library allows us to define the specific output. But that means if the server action is responsible to validate the input, should it be responsible for the output as well? The DTOs live in the service layer and in the persistence layer, but the presentation layer handles like conversion, data conversion and stuff like that, Yeah, let's do that. I feel like we can work with DTOs up to the point where we need to return data, and when we need to return data, we're going to convert it. So yeah, let's do that to plain object. Unless there's like a way, unless there's like a method that we can overwrite to this class, but I'm not sure there is a method, right? Let's see, there's like toString, and we can overwrite to string, but what else? Let me try this real quick. I'm gonna overwrite to string, and I'm gonna return this. Wait, what? Does not extend another class. Okay, it does not extend another class, but we can do this now, right? We have the updated collection. It's a DTO, but we can do to string. If I delete to string and go back, I can still do to string. It's a string representation of an object. And let's see, JSON.stringify override behavior. Is it calling to string under the hood? For other objects, this was like booleans, big integers. Yeah, this is serializing. Oh, if the value has a toJSON method, it's responsible to define what data will be serialized. Yeah, instead of the object being serialized, the value returned by the toJSON method when called will be serialized. See, that's JSON stringify calls toJSON with one parameter, the key, which has the same semantic as the key parameter of the replacer function. So maybe we should do this instead of, two plain objects and to figure out where. We should just override or create a toJSON. Maybe that's going to be, yeah. If the object is a property value, the property name, that's with the key. If it is in an array, the index in the array as a string. If JSON stringify was directly called on this object, an empty string. Yeah. So we are pretty much going to do JSON stringify directly on that object. So we don't care about the key in that case. Let's see. So if we are in the go to the DTO now, collection DTO. If we do JSON, it's going to be a string. Return. Now we can do the plain object. Where was it? This thing. We're going to do stringify on this one. Right? And it has to return a string. Yeah, it always has to return a string. JSON notation. Yeah, values are stringified. Okay. So I'm just gonna log out. I'm gonna add like a bunch of these so we can see the message. So when we go back here, instead of the string, I can just do JSON stringify. So just like stringify, or even like, oh yeah, I guess we have to. We tried it last time and it didn't work. Maybe it will, but we'll see. I'm gonna put a breakpoint here. And I'm gonna go back to the DTO and put a breakpoint here. Okay. Reload, hit published again. There we are, continue. Yeah. The key, let's see, the key is an empty string. Yeah, you see that? So we pretty much don't need the key. But if I return collection unpublished, we don't have that issue anymore. I'm curious. So yeah, we learned that if you provide a to JSON, you can use JSON stringify to return back, whatever it is on the presentation layer. But if we go back and instead of doing JSON stringify like this, are we gonna get the same error? Even if we don't, maybe Next.js does that automatically. Bam. And oh, damn, breakpoint. Hold on. Refresh, let's try that again. Yeah. So Next.js does invoke the JSON stringify automatically for us. See? Collection unpublished. What does this mean? We can have an interface for all of the DTOs so that it's important to, so we can force all of the DTOs to implement the to JSON. Yeah, definitely. So let's see. I'm gonna do index.ts here, just like I did for the repositories. Yeah, and we're going to define export interface for every DTO. So it's gonna be IDTO. It's going to implement the to JSON. Not gonna have a key, and it's gonna return a string. So we go here and implement IDTO, bring it in. We should be happy. If I don't, it's not gonna be happy. So we can see how we can enforce this. So every DTO should have a to JSON defined. Honestly, this is like pretty much the same stuff that I did back when I was doing .NET, but we're just doing this in JavaScript. And this is why we also did that in .NET. Yeah. So that when we return this to JSON, it's always a library. There's always a library that's converting whatever you return into like, trying to serialize and deserialize the data as, it's being passed through the network. So it does make sense to use JSON stringify because that's built in. It's in JavaScript. And if that's the case, then we need a to JSON that's going to return a string. So yeah, to JSON here. We just return the updated collection. We don't care about anything else. And then we have the same functionality. Collection unpublished, hit refresh. We can see that the collection is unpublished. Now we can publish it, hit refresh. We can see that it remains published. Okay, so that's good. Hey, Kevin. I missed a lot due to dinner. I'm not sure where you dropped out, but we were testing if toggle and create all of these functions work. and they work flawlessly, actually. So check this out. If I go all the way down, yeah, here's the last error, but we don't get that error anymore. And check this out. Here, creating authentication service, caching authentication service, right? Creating collections service, creating collections repository, caching collections repository, right? The authentication service is already cached. Give me the cached version, and now cache the collection service. And now scroll down. Authentication is already cached, returning the cached version. Collection service is already cached, returning the cached version. There we go. We only created the services and the repository just once, and now we're just returning their cached versions. Beautiful. That is just beautiful. Okay, so we can see that things work, but we actually made the code, structured the code a lot better than if we weren't. We can see that the error handling is now like how error handling works, and we can throw errors from the presentation layer. So all we need to do left is to test the Vercel stuff, but I guess I'm gonna leave that for probably Wednesday. Let me just check the calendar real quick. Yeah, I'll probably leave that for Wednesday. We're gonna stream on Wednesday as well at the same time, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. That's when we stream, unless something happens, but it's looking good. So I'm gonna leave this for next stream. So in the meantime, I'll try to refactor the app, like refactor all of these stuff, so we don't do that on stream. And we should just check the Vercel caching, and we actually did. We actually did. I mean, not us. Sudarsh, that was you, right? Yeah, Sudarsh actually checked that for us, that it is caching. Vercel is caching the. Yeah, Vercel is caching the service locator. We can see it for ourselves if we wanted. But next thing that we want to do, look into testing. I'm going to try to find the time and re-implement the rest of the services and the rest of the methods. But we can see how we see how that actually goes. You don't have to see me go through the rest of the stuff. I believe we should just look into testing next. Yeah, regardless, even if I manage or don't manage to refactor the app, it's runnable. We have services, we have stuff, we can look into testing. And I think we're going to use v-tests to invoke the testing and stuff. And then we can like hook in CodeCoft so we can keep an eye on the coverage. Nice. That's it for this stream. I think we made a lot of progress. Yeah, we figured out the error handling. It's looking good. We still haven't set up Sentry, but we'll do that in one of the next streams. But yeah, let's recap. Ooh, this was quite the session. Yeah, we started off explaining why we got rid of the DTOs, and then I changed my mind. We actually need the DTOs. And plus, we actually need the toJSON to override the toJSON method for all of our DTOs, so they can be, serialized and deserialized while passing through the network. We figured out the service locator type matching. It was just a plain interface where the key is a string of the name of the service and the value is the service itself. So we did that as well. We didn't test the Vercel cache across actions, but that was done for us by Sudarsh. So thanks a lot, Sudarsh, for checking the cache. And that's good that we have the cache. And yeah, the next thing that I have here is to start looking into unit testing. So that's gonna be for the next pretty good thumbnail. This one, what is that? I don't have that habit of making thumbnails, etc. But yeah, nice. This was a really productive stream. I think we're approaching the end of establishing this architecture. Yeah, so thank you all for tuning in. This was really cool. And do I play guitar? Yeah, I used to play in a rock band, but I haven't played in years. So yeah, I'm rusty. But yeah, thank you all for tuning in. This was a good hangout. I'm gonna see you all on Wednesday at the same time. All right, take care.